I'm not going to do. I'm going to do very little talking. You'll be delighted to hear. I suppose a couple of weeks ago, Deirdre and we do a lot of work together. We were asked to input into the design of this session, and I suppose we decided that it would be really important to share with you what is Partners in Learning, and that's really what we want to try and achieve in the next 40-45 minutes, just to give you a flavour of it. We could do that in the boring way and go through every single part of the website, but we decided that that really wouldn't be very exciting, plus we'd probably be found out. So Deirdre decided that we would ask Kate to come along, and you'll hear all about the brilliant work they're doing and how one small primary school is using the tools within Partners in Learning to design some of that 21st century learning that Greg spoke about before the break. And I'm delighted to say that the young people we have a mix of young people here today. Luke Blond is in 6th class, and he's here with his younger cousin Harry, who's in 5th. We have Aoife, who's in 5th, and we have Paul, who's in 6th. So you might just give them a round of applause. Not alone are they going to show you and talk to you about the work that they have been doing, the kind of project-based learning that is very much a part of their school, but they're also actually going to give you a demo. They're going to teach you how to use some of these software tools that are freely available within Partners in Learning. So without further ado, this is kind of the running order that we have for you. I'm going to just give you a quick heads up on the website, tell you how I use it myself, how I think every teacher could find something in it. Deirdre, who has been working with the Partners in Learning team in Microsoft for the last number of years, is going to share with you some of the research, the PIL research, or sorry, the ITL research, which Greg highlighted in the last session but didn't go into any detail because he's left that job to Deirdre. Then we're going to show you some of the tools, and the last part of the day of the session will be to ask you to sign up to PIL, and I'll hopefully you'll be motivated at that stage that you'll go back to your schools and get yourself signed up, but also your colleagues. So a little bit about Partners in Learning. It's a very comprehensive resource for teachers. It's one of those really well-kept secrets within education. I've been involved in Partners in Learning for a long time myself. I've watched the site grow over the last 10 years, and it really is a very comprehensive resource. The URL is down there at the bottom. There are a number of sections on it. There's resources. I'll share some of those with you in a minute. There are hot topics. There's a community. There's a whole section on professional development. Wonderful tools in there. Again, Greg highlighted some of those. I'm not going to go into that today, but there are tools in there that you as teachers and as principals can actually use with your staff to help start a conversation around how teachers are using technology and how they might go forward in terms of CPD, what kinds of CPD they might like to engage in. And then there are sections specifically for educators and for schools. So I'm just going to talk about some of the key resources that I use. I work with teachers all around the country in various levels. On one level, I work in the Masters in Teaching and Learning with Hibernia College. I use this resource there. Most recently, we've been working with second-level principals around the country on Office 365 and sharing some of these resources. And within the resources section, there are tutorials on software that you might like to use with your students, or you might even want to use it yourself, and they're all freely available. There are learning activities. In the Microsoft language, they're called VCTs, Virtual Classroom Tours. Kate has developed those in the past. She's been a winner in that category, so you can check through those. What I find about those VCTs is they are examples of how teachers around the world are using technology. They've codified it, they've captured it, and they've shared it with you. I often get a great kick out of it when I hear a teacher say, "Oh, they did that. Do you know, I could do better." And I say, off with you, right? So there's really great stuff there. There's also a whole section that's growing all the time around popular discussions. There's a Twitter feed, all the things you'd expect. One of the schools that I do a lot of work with, which is involved in Partners in Learning, is Warrenmount Convent, second level school in the Liberties. And the last few weeks we've recorded some testimony from one of the teachers there, and she makes the point that with these resources she can go off immediately and learn herself. If she finds something, she can go and learn it. She doesn't have to wait for a course in the local education centre, goes online, follows the tutorials. And also she can link in to conversations with other teachers around the world. So it's a really, truly wonderful resource. And it is Partners in Learning Network. So it's a network of teachers. So I'd encourage you to join it. These are some of the discussions that are in there. They're being led by educators from all around the globe. Again, the principal in Warrenmount, she was talking to me the other day. She finds this a wonderful way for her to keep on top of what's happening, because there's so many things happening, and she's getting great ideas and bringing them back to her own school. Now that's me finished. So now I'm going to call on my good friend and colleague Deirdre Butler, who's going to share with you some of the research before we actually see it in action. One of the things that Deirdre and I and John Hurley have been involved in for the last 10 years is a project called TeachNet, and that project was run through St. Pat's, and we had funding originally, philanthropic funding from the Citigroup Foundation, and we had funding from Microsoft Partners in Learning as well. So that funding has run out, but we have a number of we have a lot of teacher resources there. We have a blog. So at the moment we're in the process of porting that across so that we will have a new homepage. It's called a landing page for Partners in Learning for Irish teachers. Partners in Learning in Ireland hasn't really been promoted much to date, and we realise that it's a global site, so we want to get the balance between highlighting some of the stuff that's relevant to you as teachers, both primary and post-primary, but also linking in. I think the huge benefit is actually going beyond the Irish site, linking in with teachers globally. So we're going to be working on that over the next couple of months. We also have some, we've done a lot of podcasts in the past. We intend doing that again. And if any of you are interested in becoming involved, you want to get active with us on the Partners in Learning Irish site, please come to us, come to me afterwards. The teacher here actually is Carol Fahy. She's a second level teacher in Warrenmount Presentation Secondary. She's doing fantastic stuff at the moment with blogs in English and in history. And she was telling me the other day that the girls in Warrenmount, excuse me, for the Leaving Cert, they put up a blog on one of the novels they were looking at for the Leaving Cert. They took just a part of that and they blogged. And the way it's transformed the way those kids are learning, the feedback they got from schools all over the country was, this is a really great blog, when are you doing the next one? What section are you doing next? So you can imagine the self-esteem for these young women. It's no longer being done in a copybook. She told me another day that when she comes in and she's not using the laptops, the girls are like, oh, God, right? So it's creating its own little challenges, but it's motivating. She has engagement, and there is really, really deep learning going on. So, just on the CPD piece, within the TeachNet project, we have been doing summer courses for the last number of years, and also, I've already mentioned, there's a lot of self-guided tutorials on the Partners in Learning website already. One of the other projects that we're starting to look at is actually to develop some course material for teachers at both primary and post-primary around using some of these tools in the context of the curriculum. One of the ones that we feel is one of the best kept secrets, it's a tool that Microsoft have called OneNote. Anyone in the audience use OneNote? Okay. Those of you who use OneNote, and it's a lot of familiar faces, will know that it's a really, really useful tool. We would actually contend that it could become the digital copybook. People are always talking about the digital book, but we think it has real potential to become the digital copybook. However, a lot of this stuff is currently spread all over the place. So working with Deirdre and others, we're looking at how we can actually build courses for teachers that will be blended, online and face-to-face, and working with partners like the education centres, develop a network so that we can get the word out and help teachers to develop their skills and their competencies and to implement that deep learning that we saw from Kate and her children. So I'm just going to step away for a minute, and I'm going to ask Kate maybe to come up. What we've seen here today is the fruits of the work in her school and in her classroom, and maybe just say a little bit about what Partners in Learning has meant to her. what struck me about the Partners in Learning website when I kind of returned to it in some detail last year was Lee Shulman, who's done a lot of work around teacher professionalism in the US. A number of years ago, he was involved in a project with the Carnegie Foundation where they were actually capturing teacher practice. It's quite an expensive project. They went into classrooms and they captured video. Shulman talks, he doesn't like the word best practice, he likes the word not bad practice. And I look at Partners in Learning and I look at the learning activities, and there's all types of learning activities in there. And I actually love to find the ones that may not win at some of these competitions, but they are actually practice of teachers. And I've shown them to other teachers, and like that story I told you earlier, they say, God, that's great, but you know, I could do it better. And I think we need to, that's what we need to do. We don't have enough examples of practice for teachers to look at, to talk about, to share, and then to use in their own classrooms. And I think that's one of the beauties of this particular website. So finally, I want you to go back. I hope they've motivated you to sign up for Partners in Learning. Everybody can sign up for Partners in Learning. And if you're interested in getting involved more actively on the Irish side of things, come to me afterwards.